Well, the college football playoff national championship is tonight, and something doesn't feel right. We're going to talk about it.
Are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, everybody, welcome back in. Welcome back into Locked On Bama. What the heck was that, Jimmy? I would start over, but I'm not. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. Jimmy, how are you today?
Oh, I'm just fine. Welcome to National Championship Monday.
Yeah, and first of all, thank you for making us your first listen. We appreciate you guys. Also, go check out Locked On College Basketball. I'm supposed to talk about that later on, but I'll probably forget. So I'm telling you now, go check out Locked On College Basketball. As my phone rings, even though I said several times, please don't let my phone ring. But I'm just going to let
It's
it
the
ring
Locked
for a
On
second.
College Basketball guys. Thanking you for the shout out.
It is weird. I always bring something up and then my phone rings. It is weird. Okay. Jimmy, tonight is the national championship as you ghost out of the room.
It's the Chris Collinsworth slide.
So, to national championship. And, I said at the beginning, something doesn't feel right. And look, yes, it could be that TCU is in the game, which feels weird to begin with. I know some people love it. I'm not a huge fan. I don't feel like TCU is one of the best four teams in the country. I still don't, even though they're there. But that doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there. That's where they are. What doesn't feel right, number one, is Alabama isn't in it. That feels bad. But what doesn't feel right, number two, is the venue. Now, look, this is Locked On Bama. We're going to keep this Bama-centric. But what bothers me is college football's slow transformation into NFL. Look, the transfer portal equaling free agency, the players getting money. And I'm not bitching about the players getting money. I want everybody to understand that. But it's just starting to feel very NFL-esque. And now we're playing in SoFi Stadium. And I admit, at first, I was very, very excited about this when it was announced. I thought it would be cool. But the more I've learned about this venue, it's in downtown Los Angeles. There's no tailgating. What is the point of this? College football is built on passion. It's built on tradition, that foundation of the sport. NFL, college football is about tailgating. Tailgating is ingrained into the fabric. Now, the NFL, college football is kind of like the middle class of America. It's underappreciated. It's often gets the bad end of the stick. But so you look at NFL. NFL is like either the uber rich billionaires sitting in their skyboxes that they pay $50,000 a game for, that have massage chairs, or Deshaun Watson massaging them, or you got the Bills Mafia crowd that they spend most of their day jumping from car roofs onto fold-up tables for some reason, which I appreciate. I'm down with it, but it doesn't exactly scream billionaire, right? So my point is, so we don't need to be in LA. We don't need to be in LA. SoFi Stadium is the venue for this thing. Neither is Santa Clara. I went to the Santa Clara game. I've been to every national championship Alabama's been in since 1992. I humble brag about that all the time. Santa Clara was a dump of a place to go. Not because the venue itself is bad. The stadium is fine. It's actually kind of nice. It's a horrible place to play college football. And I think SoFi Stadium is going to prove to be a horrible place to play college football. And here's another bold take of mine. I don't want any part of the Rose Bowl anymore. I went out 2009. I went out there for the UCLA game in 2000. And I went there for a U2 concert. All of them were fine, and the scenery is gorgeous, but the stadium's dated. It sort of flares out instead of going in. You don't get I keep hearing on Chris Childers and Rick Newhouse talk about this, where the national championship should be every year. No, it shouldn't be anywhere near California. California is not college football. Yes, USC and UCLA are great. Make it in the Sugar Bowl or I'll even take Jerry's World or what's another venue, Jimmy? I'll take the Orange Bowl, even though Miami doesn't blow me away with college football. The Mercedes Dome, all those great. Even Scottsdale is even better, much better, frankly. So anyway, my point is this game tonight is going to be played in SoFi Stadium, and I'm about California out for college football.
It's so funny to me that we play a college football season. We play all season long, and in our minds, college football takes place on a Saturday, sometimes in the sunny afternoon, sometimes at night, but it takes place on a Saturday on a university campus, on the campus where half the players playing in the game go to school and go to class on that campus. And that's where you play the games. And colleges are, of course, they're Georgia and TCU, but they're also Bowling Green and Toledo and Coastal Carolina and the SEC schools and Oklahoma and Notre Dame. And then we play for the national championship. Now it's hey, this is what college football is all about. And what do? We play it on a Monday night in an NFL stadium, like it's yet another Monday night football. Reasons they do it, chief among them is Monday night has a built-in football audience. For weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, America has been watching football on Monday nights from NFL stadiums. So that's a big part of why the game's on a Monday night, because there already is a built-in massive audience for it. But still, it is unsettling for those of us. And I love the NFL. I am a huge NFL fan. Love the games this weekend. Really looking forward to Wild Card Weekend next weekend. I love it. But I like college football even more. College football is my thing. College football is the sport for me. And tonight's game won't really feel like a Saturday afternoon in Fort Worth on TCU's campus or a Saturday night in Athens, Georgia. And I'm not saying move the game to the home stadium of the number one seed. I'm just saying, boy, we are speedfelization of our college football sport. And playing on a Monday night in the Chargers and Rams stadium, it really feels like the NFL. For instance,
yep,
Lucas
I muted myself. See,
which
we're
is
based on tradition.
He's also muted when we talk about the NFL because he's a college football guy.
We have traditions. I mute myself once a show. That's what I just did. People wonder why I don't mute myself often, like outside of the show. But, here's the thing. I get it. Money is king, and the NFL is a juggernaut of an organization that makes money on top of money. And so maybe college football is like, yeah, let's pattern ourselves after these guys. But again, you take away the soul of the game. Again, next year we're at was it NRG
Houston
Stadium at Houston? I'm fine with that.
Back to an NFL stadium, but at least Houston is Texas, and it's sort of ish, and it's an SEC footprint, because of Texas.
And it's also, I know Texas is certainly southern, but it's also relatively central. LA's a long way from Georgia.
Well, one other thing, because a lot of people may not know this, but this was explained to me, by the way, in terms of why is the national championship game in LA? Nobody out in California cares about college football. Well, what's happened is each conference, this isn't official, but it works like this. Each conference, the Power 5 conference, sort of gets a turn to host the college football national championship. Okay. So this is much like 2018 in California. This is sort of a Pac-12, the Pac-12's game. The Big 12, there'll be a game in the Big 12. Maybe that Houston game might even be in the Big 12 footprint. You can't play it every year in Atlanta, in the SEC footprint, even though that's where you're going to have the most interest. But, last year it was in Indianapolis. That's the Big 10. Whenever it's in Miami, that's the ACC. So
Okay.
now it doesn't work exactly like that. It's not like they got a list. Okay, it's the SEC's turn, it's the ACC's turn, but there is an effort to put the game in the various footprints of the Power 5 conferences, and that's what's going on in terms of how it can be, in San Jose in 2018 and in LA in 2022.
And I'm gonna say that for the thousandth time. I'm sure I've been to San Jose. I mean, I know the way. Santa Clara I'm sure is a fantastic place to live. It's a
Santa
dump
Clara.
truck. Yeah, it's a dump truck place to play college football. I was on the street. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Walking to the game, and people were asking, "What's going on?" Like they didn't know. It's bizarre. And I was like, are you looking around? I mean, do you see a lot of people in crimson and orange and like not put two and two together? Anyway, Jimmy, about LinkedIn as I get another phone call. I am getting phone call on top of phone call here today.
Probably some guy going, what's this show about? Y'all are doing a show. What is it about? What's going on?
As a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. LinkedIn Jobs helps you attract quickly qualified candidates to your jobs with targeting tools. They identify the most qualified candidates on LinkedIn Jobs. You can too, and connect with them fast and free. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications, all on one platform. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to and helps you find them faster. Post a job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions will apply. All right, Jimmy, one other thing. We're sort of going off the rails a little bit today, not completely, but I want to talk about some Bama players that are in the NFL playoffs. And first of all, I'm kind of heartbroken for Derrick Henry. I thought he sort of did all he could this year. He got a little banged up, but then, of course, the quarterback situation in Tennessee really affected him, affected the Titans. I mean, they're left with Josh Dobbs, who is brilliant. And I'm sure he was a good college quarterback, but I mean, I don't know that he's got the wherewithal to play in the NFL long term. Of course, they tried Malik Willis, who just didn't pan out. And I think he's hurt. So that's an issue. And Derrick Henry will not be in the playoffs, and it's a shame. I mean, because Jacksonville will get in. And look, I get it. I'm happy for Jacksonville. Actually, I mean, that crowd was great Saturday night. And maybe this is the beginning of a good career for Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. Both played very well. But I just hate it for Derrick Henry because, I mean, he's a lot of tread's been worn off those tires. I mean, he's a freak of nature, so he's probably got 2 or 3 really good years left in him. But Tennessee's got to help him out, man. Maybe they trade up and get a quarterback. Hey, Bryce Young. So that'd be wonderful. Tua does make the playoffs. So does Waddle, obviously, and so does Raekwon Davis, all with the Dolphins. Will Tua play against Buffalo? That remains to be seen. I certainly hope he does. I think that's the Dolphins' only chance. I mean, they seriously waddled their way to a 11-6 win over the Jets, which was just horrible to watch. It got exciting towards the end just because of the game, but it was a bad watch. Who else out there, Alabama football-wise, Jimmy, that will be in the playoffs you're going to be watching?
I think Monday night is interesting with the Dallas Cowboys and Trevon Diggs. And the Cowboys, just simply because that's going to be the most watched game, I think, of the weekend is Tampa Bay and Dallas with, it's Monday night football, 1 week from tonight, Monday, first ever wild card game on a Monday night. It's the Monday night audience. It's perhaps Tom Brady's last game, but Tom Brady's playing in it, which guarantees ratings, and it's America's team, with the Dallas Cowboys. And that game stands out to me, but I'm excited about, all of our guys that will be playing, all weekend long. and even J.K. Scott punting for the Chargers. Hopefully, for the Chargers' sake, they won't punt much when they play the Jaguars. That's Saturday night. I think that's going to be a fun game, and really could be one of the tight games of the weekend too. Some of the games, like the Bills and Dolphins, there's like an 11-point line, I think, in that game. There's some of the game, 49ers Seahawks, I think there's a big line in that game. I'm more interested in, what I want to see come playoff time is unbelievable finishes with everything on the line. And that may come in several games this weekend. And Cowboys, Buccaneers, Chargers, Jaguars, and an under the radar game with a couple of Bammers in Vikings, Giants. It's with Brian Dable, as the coach. But the Vikings, that game could be, I think, might end up being the best one of the weekend, actually.
Yeah, that one's going to be fun. Of course, the Eagles, look, some people may not count it, but I do. Jalen Hurts is a Bama through and through. He grew from Alabama. All of his best moments are from playing at Alabama, and I think he still considers himself a Bama. So I'm pulling for Jalen Hurts, and obviously Landon Dickerson and Devontae Smith.
Right.
So the Eagles get a bye, which is wonderful for them. I'd love to see Devontae and Jalen get to the Super Bowl. I was hoping, early in the season when the Dolphins were hot, Tua Jalen Super Bowl would be mind blowing. That's not going to happen. I don't think the Dolphins get out of the first round now.
I think Jalen will get there. I'm going. By the way, that's a good question. I'm going Eagles Bills.
I would actually, I could see that, but I'm going to go Eagles Chiefs. I'm going to go chalk. I think that that would be a shame. And really two such different styled quarterbacks. Mahomes can make any pass, and he's like daring with it. He can run right up to the line of scrimmage, and just sort of flick it underhanded for a touchdown. He's done that several times recently. He can throw it over his head. He can do all these things. And Jalen, he is what he is. He's a fine passer. He's not a great passer, but he can kill you with his legs. I think that would be a fun game. And again, my son's a big Eagles fan that's going to Arizona State. So, good Lord willing and the creek don't rise, maybe he could find some money in his way into the Super Bowl. That'd be wonderful. Anyway, so that's going to be a lot of fun watching the Super Bowl watching the NFL playoffs. But Jimmy, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to dispel the Bama bust myth. Okay. We've already talked a lot about Bama guys in the NFL and the playoffs coming up. You talk about Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith and Waddle and all those guys. A couple of things just came across the wire, and by the wire, I mean Twitter, that just stood out to me. One guy, we didn't talk about this in the playoffs, is Marlon Humphrey. Mm-hmm. He didn't allow a touchdown this year. He's the only defensive back that didn't allow a touchdown.
Seems impossible. Like, are we sure?
Man.
I know that's out there, and it must be true. It just doesn't seem possible.
It doesn't. Then, how about this? Josh Jacobs leads the league in rushing. Derrick Henry is second. That's the first time that's happened since I think it was Edgerrin James and maybe Clinton Portis.
Correct.
Alums from Miami in the league.
Yeah. Our Alabama Pro Updates tweeted that out, and friend of the show, by the way, listens all the time. Boy.
Yeah, follow them.
Well, one of the best Twitter accounts out there, and he informed us of that fact over the weekend. Unbelievable. 1-2 in rushing in the NFL. And boy, what a good time for Josh Jacobs as he enters free agency. Our Raiders buddy tells us he's very likely to be franchise tagged, and that's fine. Because that means it's a heck of a payday when you're franchise tagged. It's a 1-year deal, but you make a whole lot of money in that 1 year. I'm guessing, around 17, 18 million for Josh if the Raiders do that.
Yeah, and what's great about Josh Jacobs, I don't think he's ever not going to be hungry. When you've been homeless, when you've had to sleep in a car, and when you had to fight and claw and scratch your way to get big time offers, which you're never going to be hungry. You're never not going to be hungry. You're going to always want to be better. I think he's got like that what you call the fire in the belly. And so I don't think he's going to be the kind of guy that gets a big payday and then sort of falls off. And I'm not I don't like calling him out because he's one of my favorite players in Alabama history. But I think Sean Alexander sort of got the payday, and then he fell off a little bit. I mean, maybe he just wasn't hungry enough, or maybe the league got to him or whatever. But for a while there, Sean Alexander was the man. I remember, that game. Who were they playing? It was Seahawks. Can't remember who they playing, but he had 5 touchdowns. Ridiculous. I mean, in the NFL, you just don't do that very often. I know Joe Mixon did it this year. You just don't do it very, very often at all. Speaking of Sean, Sean, of course, is the leading rusher for an Alabama alum in the league. Derrick Henry will surpass him, I'm sure. May even surpass him. And then there's Mark Ingram. But how about this? Kenyon Drake moves into 5th this year of all-time Bama alums in terms of rushing yardage in the NFL. That's pretty awesome.
Hard to believe. That was another one that's kind of hard to believe because Drake doesn't stand out to me as like he's had an incredible career. He's had a good career. He's still playing. That's hugely significant. He's had a good career. He's had some good games. But that he would be 5th all-time in Alabama history in NFL rushing yards, that stunned me a bit.
God, I wish he was still with the Dolphins. I mean, I don't see how the Dolphins let him go when he was the guy who finished off the improbable finish against the Patriots, when they had all those laterals, and he's the one that ends up beating, I forget the Patriots linebacker to the corner, and he scores the touchdown and just on a crazy finish. But hey, speaking of the Dolphins letting former Alabama alums go, or just not former alums, because that would mean you were an alum and now you're not.
Now
so
you're
just
not.
That's
You're an alum and now you're not.
So how about letting Minkah Fitzpatrick go? Who, by the way, I was just watching ESPN coincidentally before this. I was just looking on the site, and they had a list of who they call MVP, who they say is defensive player of the year, yada yada yada. And they said, okay, how about this? The guy who had best single game performance, they said it was Minkah Fitzpatrick in week 1 against the Bengals.
Wow.
And of all the Joe Mixon, I just mentioned Joe Mixon had 5 touchdowns in a game. Oh gosh, Justin Jefferson for the Vikings had an incredible day. I can't remember who that was against.
He does it every week. He does it every week.
He does do it every week. But yeah, I just thought that was pretty awesome. And as again, I'm getting phone calls, and I'm sorry about that. I think that is
hopping. It's an iron.
We're just hopping. People want fountains today. But anyway, I think that's my cue to skidoo. So anyway, the Bama bus thing, y'all can stick it. It's not a Bama bus. We're doing pretty good with Waddle and Devontae and Quinn Williams. I mean, just a whole lot of them. So CJ Mosley had a nice game yesterday for the Jets. I mean, it just goes down the list. And I know, yes, you're right. There have been some
Isaiah Buggs played really well. Isaiah Buggs played really well last night for Detroit.
Hey, Mac Jones played well against the Bills. The Patriots are so overmatched by the Bills. He was playing at the Bills against the Bills after the tragedy, the near tragedy, I should say, because he's getting better. But for DeMar Hamlin, but he played great. He had 3 touchdown passes.
Yeah, Mac, I thought Mac was outstanding.
All right, that's going to do it for today's podcast. Sorry for the
Georgia
phone call
win tonight or
interruption,
TCU?
Georgia wins. I'm not pulling for them, but if they win, I'll be an SEC guy.
I think Georgia wins very similarly to how Alabama beat Kansas State.
All right, I'm down with it. All right, buddy. Have a good day, and until next time, roll tide.
Roll Tide.